The title of this training series is To Be Continued. We're going to talk about a misunderstood concept of basketball, continuous motion. Before we begin this particular presentation, let's take note that this concept and everything in it is applicable to every level of basketball. There's no such thing as the NBA rule and other rules. This rule and everything in it is applicable to every level of basketball. Continuous motion applies to a try or tap for field goals and free throws, but it has no significance unless there is a foul by any defensive player during the interval, which begins when the habitual throwing movement starts with a try or with the touching of a tap and ends when the ball is clearly in flight. Continuous motion is defined in the following rule sets. For National Federation of High School, it is defined in Rule 4-11. For NCAA women, Rule 4-7, and NCAA men, Rule 4-8. Per the National Federation of High School rulebook, this is a screenshot of the continuous motion rule. Let's look at Article 2 and Article 3. If an opponent fouls after the player has started a try or tap for field goal, the player is permitted to complete the customary arm movement, and if pivoting or stepping when fouled, may complete the usual foot or body movement in any activity while holding the ball. These privileges are granted only when the usual throwing motion has started, before the foul occurs, and before the ball is in flight. Continuous motion does not apply if a teammate fouls after a player has started a try or tap for field goal and before the ball is in flight. The ball becomes dead immediately. What does this mean, you ask? When a dribble while the ball handler dribble has ended and said player begins any, let's say, normal motion that precedes a shot attempt, if he or she is fouled by a defensive player, they are allowed to complete these movements in the process of trying to complete the try. So what is a try, you ask? It's defined in the following rule sets. National Federation, Rule 4-41, Articles 2 through 4. NCAA Women, Rule 5-1, Article 10, and it is the same for NCAA Men. A try pretty much is a shot attempt in layman's terms. It's an attempt by a player to score 2 or 3 points by throwing the ball into a team's own basket. A player is trying for goal when the player has the ball and an official's judgment is throwing or attempt to throw for goal. It is not essential that the ball leaves the player's hand, as a foul could prevent the release of the ball. This is a very important article to note. If the dribble has ended, a player with the basketball begins their normal customary arm movements or pivoting or stepping in an attempt to try for a goal, and they are fouled. We will give this concept a name momentarily. In the official's judgment, this player is attempting a goal, attempting a shot attempt. Whether the ball is released from the player's hand or not is inconsequential. And the rule clearly states it is not essential. The try starts when the player begins the motion which habitually precedes the release of the ball. The try ends when the throw is successful, when it is certain that the throw is unsuccessful, when the thrown ball touches the floor, or when the ball becomes dead. The rest of the articles go into taps. but taps for goal essentially are tries as well. This concept is something you hear on television and radio and audio broadcasts quite often. The act of shooting. What is it? The act of shooting is defined in the following rule sets. For National Federation High School, Rule 4-41, Article 1, and for both NCAA men and women, Rule 5-1, Article 11. In the National Federation High School Rule Book, it is very well defined, and notice it is in the same section as shooting, try, tap. That is by design. The act of shooting begins simultaneously with the start of the try or tap for field goal and ends when the ball clearly is in flight and includes the airborne shooter. Let me read that again. The act of shooting begins simultaneously with the start of the try. And we have learned that the start of the try does not necessarily mean that the basketball has to be released for a shot attempt. Now we're going to process all this and come to an understanding shortly. Let's tie all this together. So here's the process in order that defines continuous motion. Number one, we have the start of a try. Now that a try has started, our ball handler dribbler is in the act of shooting. As we've learned by rule, in the act of shooting with the start of a try, the ball handler dribbler can still possess the basketball. They can still be holding the basketball. At the start of a try, let's say that we have a foul by the defense only, and there is not a foul by the offense at any point in this process. Now we have continuous motion. I hope this makes this clear. If you want to think of it very simply, think of it like this. Our ball handler dribbler has ended their dribble. They begin, let's say, arm movement, stepping, pivoting, Euro step, if you will, that precedes a shot attempt or a try. They are fouled during this process by the defense. Whether they have released the basketball or not is inconsequential. It's not essential as the rules stated earlier. And there is a foul by the defense during this process without being any fouls committed by the offense. This is continuous motion. This rule is the same for every level of basketball. Once we have continuous motion, our ball handler dribbler may attempt to complete the try, whether they are on the ground or airborne. Our ball handler dribbler may complete their arm movements, pivoting and stepping while holding the ball to complete the try, provided that the usual throwing motion is started before the foul occurs. The basketball does not necessarily have to be released for our ball handler dribbler to be in the act of shooting. So far in this presentation, we have defined continuous motion, try, the act of shooting. And we've tied all these rules together to prove to you that not only does continuous motion apply to every level of basketball, but potentially it can start the moment our ball handler dribbler has ended their dribble and begins either a pivot, a step, or arm movement, which is part of their habitual motion in the process of a try, aka shot attempt. We're going to take a look at some plays. And in each of these plays, we would like you to answer the question, does continuous motion apply for each play? Let's give you a hint Continuous motion probably is going to apply for almost all of these plays, with the exception of maybe one or two.
Like the awareness.
Put that in your playbook, coaches at home.
Harris lob.
Look at that catch.
What
a catch.
Well, last week we were in Lawrence. We talked to Porter Moser. He said KJ Adams used to be just an energizer bunny. Now he's a guy that does a little bit of everything.
Well, here's what the coaches told us today. Bill Self told him early in the year, you got the easiest job on the team because you're starting.
Does continuous motion apply in this play? I think our lead official pretty much gave this away. Yes. Our ball handling dribbler received a lob pass, and while airborne, began a motion to attempt a try. Obviously, the try was successful, and we have an and one. Let's look at the next play.
They need him to play well. What the official is saying is he didn't have possession.
And then a foul the floor. And they get that on Marcus Carr.
For those of you out there, you're going to hear on the floor on almost any television broadcast of a basketball game or any radio, aka audio broadcast of a basketball game. On the floor is kind of a slang for referencing that our ball handling dribbler was not in the act of shooting. Nevertheless, does continuous motion apply in this play? No, because you can judge this one or two ways depending on your angle. The ball handler dribbler has yet to end their dribble and begin the motion that precedes a shot attempt or a try, or even though the dribble has ended, a foul was committed before the motion of a potential shot attempt or try had begun. Let's look at the next play.
So there's the source, Franny. Inside, and they get a John Woodall with the foul as Jabari Rice.
Does continuous motion apply in this play? This one was pretty simple. In this particular play, our ball handler dribbler was able to release the basketball for the try, aka shot attempt, and was fouled after the release of the try. Continuous motion clearly applies in this play. Let's look at the next play.
Rice inside, ball fake, and he's able to get Ojanwada in the air. Basket will not count.
He has the best shot fake in college basketball. He got two on this play. Watch the kick out. Watch how high the ball comes up. And then by the one defender. And that's the third, I believe, on the big freshman.
Yep.
Sometimes this particular play that involves hit fakes is judged and officiated incorrectly. Let's analyze this. Our ball handler dribbler drives to the lane area, ends his dribble, stops, performs a hit fake. He gets the secondary defender in the air going from A to B. He is now in the vertical plane of our ball handler dribbler. Our ball handler dribbler then jumps legally in his plane to attempt the shot attempt, even though we know clearly he is just attempting to draw a foul. And as he jumps legally in his plane for a shot attempt, he is contacted illegally by the secondary defender. Whether the ball was able to be released or not is not essential in this case, because the process of a shot attempt or a try has begun. Thus, continuous motion applies in this play. Let's look at the next play.
Bridges missed that by a lot. Thamba with the rebound, and then he gets fouled. Keontae George.
Sometimes rebounding plays can be tricky, especially when we have offensive rebounds. When we have offensive rebounds and our rebounder brings the ball back down, it is hard for officials to see or have a clear line of sight in that area between where the basketball is being brought down by our rebounder and any potential defenders defending the offensive rebounder. In this particular play, after our offensive player has gathered the rebound, brings it down, he attempts to go back up for the try or shot attempt. He is hit or held, and this hit or hold prevents him from being able to release the basketball. But since he is attempting a try and has started a motion to attempt the try, he is judged as being in the act of shooting. This is the correct call by our official, and continuous motion does apply in this play. Let's look at the next play.
Ahead, Cryer. Bonner feeds to Stomba to foul.
Does continuous motion apply in this play? Yes, absolutely. Our offensive rebounder gathers the basketball and moves toward the goal to attempt the try. This is absolutely continuous motion at work. Let's look at the next play.
Shot clock under 10. Sills with the bigger Adams on him. Gets it in the air, draws the foul. And Sills will go to the line. And I believe that's number 5 on K.J. Adams. It is. He's done.
And that's a nice third option to have. Take a look. Little head fake by Sills, and then he gets K.J. Adams reaching in.
Again, we have another play where a head fake causes a defender to go from A to B and contact our ball handler dribbler in their vertical plane, while our ball handler dribbler starts the motion for a shot attempt or a try. Does continuous motion apply in this play? Absolutely. Let's look at the next play.
Wilson, left hand, and he's fouled.
I got to tell you,
they got that on Tomlin.
I have to tell you this. I don't understand why Naquan Tomlin and anybody else guarding Jalen Wilson will even let him get to his right hand. When he catches the ball on the perimeter.
Does continuous motion apply in this play? Absolutely. Do we really need an explanation for why continuous motion applies in this play? Probably not. Our ball handler dribbler ends his dribble and begins a normal shooting motion heading to the goal in hopes of attempting a try. And you can make a case he is fouled by both defenders on this play. Continuous motion clearly applies in this play. Let's look at our final play.
Donald, the player of the year as well, conference. Brechtel gives it up. Lexi gets down, puts it in, and a chance for 4 for Lexi Hull.
Throughout the course of the Sweet 16, Lexi Hull has just had big moments. And a great job here. Brechtel finds her. Hits the 3. She has stepped up and made some big shots.
I don't think it's rocket science for this particular play with our ball handler dribble attempting a 3-point shot attempt. Continuous motion clearly applies in this play. And even if you didn't know why, I think our trail official clearly gave it away with the and 1. Our ball handler dribbler receives the basketball off the pass and does not dribble the basketball, but begins a normal motion for her 3-point shot attempt, and she is hit on her right arm and wrist. Continuous motion clearly applies in this play. A quick review. What have we learned about continuous motion? Again, we can tie all this together. Here's the process in order that defines continuous motion. We must have a start of a try. Start of a try usually begins when our ball handler dribbler has ended their dribble, if they even dribble at all. So in some cases, a ball handler dribbler can receive a pass, gain an offensive rebound, possess a loose ball, and begin the start of a try. Now that the try has started, our ball handler dribbler by rule is in the act of shooting. At the start of the try, let's say we have a foul by the defense only, and there is not a foul by the offense at any point in this process. We have continuous motion. Once we have continuous motion, our ball handler dribbler may attempt to complete the try, whether they are on the ground or airborne. They may complete their arm movements, pivoting and stepping while holding the ball to complete the try, provided that the usual throwing motion has started before the foul occurs. The basketball does not necessarily have to be released for our ball handler dribbler to be in the act of shooting. The simplification of these statements are all backed by rules. In this case, the rules that define continuous motion, try, and the act of shooting. We appreciate you spending part of your day with us. We hope this particular training session, entitled To Be Continued, has been very helpful to your basketball education, whether you are an official, player, or coach. We hope we've described continuous motion in a very simple way, backed by rules, such that you have a greater appreciation and comprehension of this very important rule, which is applicable to all levels of basketball. Again, thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. Have a great day, a great week, great month, a great year.